And here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the CNC with Dave Gatton show. I've got my old buddy Hobby live from the container, uh, aka his office, I guess, is what do you call that? Your shop office, storage office? What do you call that?
Wish I could tell you. Office.
Okay.
Office in the middle of nowhere.
All right. Well, welcome and thanks for joining us tonight, Hobby. And also from frigid cold Michigan, we've got Mr. Jim Sinicola.
Hi, guys and gals.
Guys and gals, yeah, we got a little of both over there in the chat, looks like. Already got a pretty healthy crowd over there, too, from the looks of things. Tonight, we're just going to kind of do a Q&A. We have, if you followed the Facebook group, you know that yours truly was running a Black Friday, or still running a Black Friday sale. Started at midnight yesterday, running through Sunday. So it's about half over, I guess. But have got a ton of new future Gattoneers. So I figured there might be a lot of questions because of that. Seen a lot of chatter going on in the Facebook group. So here we are. We're here to answer your questions. And also, I want to ask everybody out there that's watching live, I want to ask for your help because as you can see on my shop cam there, that is a live shot. My machine is sitting there running. So you guys that are watching live can help me keep an eye on that. And, you know, if you see smoke or flames or, you know, anything irregular, be sure and post a comment in the chat. And I will run out there with a fire extinguisher or whatever. But yeah, it's I've got a much nicer camera out there. I've installed a bunch of cameras. Let's see what's going on with Jim here. We got to get rid of this one.
I don't know. It just went blank on me, and I'm Ethernet connected. So
okay. Well, fortunately, one of the updates that StreamYard has done is they now have where if somebody leaves like that, and that other, you know, that other spot is taken up in the thing, I can kick it out of the studio, so we don't have that going on. But anyhow. Let me, before we get started taking questions, I know I've already seen some in the chat, but before I do that, let me remind everybody once again that yesterday was Black Friday, so that kicked off the official start of the Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge. It will run through, starting yesterday, and will run all the way up to 11:59 p.m. right before the stroke of midnight on Christmas Eve. So, you know the drill. If you've seen it before, you can go to the website, go to the main page, scroll down a little bit. You'll see the big red button that says challenge. You can click on that, and it'll take you over to where you can find out all the information about the challenge. But anybody, anywhere with a CNC can enter. It can be a CNC router, CNC laser, CNC 3D printer. I think one person even asked me about a plasma. You know, as long as it's a Christmas themed project and you shoot a short video showing the CNC making it, it's eligible. So anyhow, hope y'all will think about trying to do that. We've got some great sponsors lined up. Klingspor Extravaganza. I always say Klingspor Extravaganza. That's the woodworking show. Klingspor Woodworking Shop is going to donate some stuff for a prize. Rockler is going to donate something. Michael Murray from Mighty Mike's Workshop is going to do a couple of $50 gift cards, I think, is what he was going to do. And, of course, yours truly and Gatton CNC will make up the rest. So hope we get a lot of good entries on that. So let me get back over here to these comments. I'm way behind. Let's see. Hobby, have you been watching? Is there anything we need to catch right away here?
Nothing right away, but we've got a number of questions, stacking up. We'll be happy to start sending them to you when you're ready.
Okay. Well, yeah, just go ahead if you see any.
Well, I see one, Dave, from Joe Leiden. He's on Facebook. He has a big question there.
Okay, so let me put my glasses. Well, let me post it.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, there you go.
That's going to cover everybody up here. I'm looking to find 4-axis CNC router kit, 425. The Dave Gatton link says is that not available from USA, but 46 available from China. Where's the best place to get them now? Joe,
they all come from China.
They all come from China in one way or another. But I would tell you, this would be my response to your question. You're a long ways off from needing that anyway. So by the time, you get ready for it, they'll probably have them back in stock on Stepper Online. So I would not panic and worry about where can you get them today.
Yeah. Build the machine first.
Yeah. Worry about getting the kit and the machine and all that other stuff done. That's what I posted on Facebook today. I see so many folks, putting the cart before the horse. Y'all need to slow down, take a deep breath, and this is not hard. It's really not hard. But you're gonna turn it into a job and be stressing about it. It should be fun. That's what this Hobby CNC is supposed to be. It's fun for me. Yeah. I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here doing a live stream, running my machine. So
as to your other question, Joe, about NEMA 24s instead of 23s, they're identical. They're nearly identical in size. They've got the same mount, so not a problem. They're interchangeable.
Yep. All right, let's scroll down here and see who else we got. We got Becca Miller in the house. How you doing, Becca? Becca's going to be building a Gatton CNC. She's been a long time, I guess, friend of mine and supporter of mine.
Yeah.
And has one of the old shoestring budget builds.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. We got Steve Adkins in the house. Here, how you doing? Rob Hampton, Greg Orler, welcome Hobby. Glad to hear you took the jump, Becca. Looking forward to your finished machine.
Yeah, Clyde Labont is asking what the smallest NEMA 23 that you recommend is.
The smallest, well, I don't know. They probably run on a lot smaller than 425s, but I know they run good on 425s, and that's a good kit from Stepper Online. That's what.
Yeah, some of the Gattons I've seen have the 269 ounce, but the difference in price is nothing really. I mean, they cost the same, and you might as well have the extra power handy. It really doesn't make a difference. 269 or 425 they'll run the same. They really will.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we got David Crook in the house. Landis Stutes. How are you, Landis? Tim DeLine.
Everybody talking about the Christmas challenge.
Yeah, I'm getting way behind on that.
That's all right. I'm scanning them quickly to see if
Jim
there's
Rockwell
any
in the house. Jim's going to be a new Gatton here.
Yeah,
Troy Pritchard's in the house.
He swung by. Thank you for the visit, Jim. He swung by the my place to check out my my Colossus, or as it's gotten to be known last week, Collapsis, because it
Yeah.
it happened once, but there twice, but never again. So
Yeah.
it's all up and running again.
Hitch Hamilton's in the house tonight on YouTube. Thank you, Hitch, for watching. Ryan Ballard, Andrew Haig, Leroy, CNC Woodworks,
Jeff Nearcorn,
uh,
Benji Long.
Carl Whitaker, my old buddy from Indy. He's in the house tonight. Good to see you, Carl. Let's see. I already built a Gatton and gave it to my son. Now I have a Garage Works. Okay, cool.
Rob Schuster saying that I think Stepper Online had a Black Friday sale on the NEMA 24s. He doesn't know that he'd actually seriously look at it if he were building it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
James Long said he just bought one today. Here's a question, and this question comes up every once in a while. He says, "Any thoughts on going with Acorn without Mach 3?" I have looked at Acorn. I don't have one, but I have looked at it online and read the specs on it, stuff like that. And here's my thoughts on that. The one thing that would keep me from buying it is that it uses proprietary stuff. So if you get that, there's going to be a lot fewer users than, say, Mach 3 or even UC CNC. So you have, the more support you can have among fellow users, the better to me.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I didn't like about the Acorn is it's all proprietary stuff. So Rob says, I think Dave is going to be very busy cutting all these new kits.
Oh, yeah.
However, did you get that idea, Rob? I say as my machine's running live during the live stream. So, yeah, it's been running a lot, and it's going to be running a lot in the next few days.
Big bonfire on your skeleton. Big bonfire on your skeleton.
Bonfire.
Yeah, there will be. I already had some because I had a fire a while back and got caught up, and then of course, I've got a bunch more, and I didn't get a chance to get those burned up before this Black Friday sale. So now it's I'm going to have a really big pile by the time I get through this sale. So let's see. Todd says he has the
Acorn.
I guess he's supposed to be Acorn
yeah.
and says he loves it. So, okay. Dave Clemens is in the house. Clyde says he's going to use Gerbil with an Arduino Uno. Already use it and like it. Yeah, if you're already using something, there's and can adapt that to the Gatton. No reason to go with anything different.
Yeah, Leo says you can ship his kit last as he won't need it for a while. See, there's something you got to understand about Dave, Leo. No matter what, he will ship them in order. If you ask for it first, you ask for it last, no difference.
Yeah.
He's got his.
I've always done that. I always do orders in the order that they come in. And I've even had people go, well, I'll pay you an extra whatever to expedite. Nope. If you wanted it earlier, you should have ordered it earlier. That's the way I feel. So no cutting in line, none of that stuff. So I fill them in the same order that I get them. So that's
and they never take that long. But and bottom line is, you can already start building your table while you're waiting for the kit, because maybe not the top, but there's nothing stopping you from making a frame if you already have an idea as far as your tabletop.
Yeah, Keith said he saw a pile of them to the right of my CNC. Yeah, if I change this camera, to this view. Well, I don't know why it's gotten dark all of a sudden.
It might be foggy from the weather. It looks like it's a fog mist on the
Okay,
lens.
just as long as it's not smoke.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, over there to the right, there is. Let me see if I can include it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right over here, you'll see there's quite a stack of some that are already cut. So,
and I gotta say, I mean, I got my kit already, and I was very pleased with. I mean, I've run CNC even before ordering the kit, and the build quality and the precision that Dave puts it. I mean, he doesn't run these things at full bore. He takes his time and will cut out. I mean, that Pure Bond is it's crisp, clean cuts. You know, you may have a gap because, you know, that's the way Pure Bond is. It might have the occasional, but I didn't see any in mine. I mean, it's you know, in between plywood, those little holes, whatever you're called. But the pieces were very precise, and I remember you saying, Dave, some time ago, you tried for a short time to sell only the plans, and it was a disaster because people kept cutting them with inferior machines, and then they complained about the Gatton not fitting right.
yeah, well, there's a couple of reasons why I quit offering just the plans. One is about 99% of the people that bought the plans would later, and sometimes months later, want me to cut the parts, and then of course they want a break because they've already the plan. So I always just gave them the price difference between the full kit versus the thing and gave that off. And I just got tired of doing it. I'm like, yeah, you should have just bought the parts from me in the first place. You know, everybody thinks it's real easy until they, you know, start doing it, and then they like, whoops, I should have just bought the kit. So that's one reason. And then the other reason is, and I'm not going to mention anybody's name. Of course, I don't even remember this guy's name, but there was a guy who bought the plans and then he even did a YouTube video, and he shows his Shapeoko cutting the Gatton CNC parts. And then when it's all done, in the comments, he has the nerve to say that the Gatton CNC is not as accurate as the Shapeoko. And I'm thinking to myself, you use that machine to cut those parts, you know? So after that, I just heck with it. So,
yeah, you're going to find a few thousand Gatton users disagreeing with you.
yeah. So anyway, you know, I got thinking when you said Leo said I could ship his kit last, and I'm thinking, I don't think he's ordered one. And I just checked my email just a second ago, and he just has ordered it. So I hate to tell you, Leo, but there's close to 40 people in front of you. So yeah, it'll probably be a minute. Yeah. Although, you know, I've had people already asking me, well, when's it going to ship? When's it going to ship? I've always said 5 to 10 business days it'll ship. And even with this big of a load, it'll probably still ship within 5 to 10 business days. So
MC Thacker was saying, how many kits per bit? Well, MC, I got to say, Dave's on his original bit. He really babies that puppy.
No, it's kind of funny because I was sitting here the other day. Well, let's see, it was yesterday, I guess it was, or maybe the day before. I can't remember what day it was. But anyway, I was sitting here and I got my camera right over here, or the screen that y'all are seeing. And I kept looking and I'm going, yeah, it's cutting good. Now, I can't hear it. The bad thing about back here, I can't hear any sound. So I'm really depending on that security camera there and watching it close. That's why I have it blown up big where I can see. And of course, I'm getting a little bit better view of it than y'all are. But anyway, it was going through the motions, and I didn't realize. I thought, well, I hadn't gone out and checked on it in a while. I better go out and check. And right about, let's see if I can move the mouse. We lost Hobby. Yeah, right. If you can see the mouse, right with this part here, which is like the 11th part on this nest, it had broke the bit. So it was already going over here doing the movements, and I think it was up to here, like on the 15th part. But when I went out there, of course, it wasn't cutting anything. So, the bit just broke off flush with the collet, but it was about due to be changed anyway. I was trying to get one more blank out of it, and it broke off. So
Becca was asking, the font Becca is Batman Forever Alternate. That's the Gatton CNC font.
yes,
the Batman Forever font, but that's
Batman Forever Alternate is the exact font. Any other questions out there? I see Mark Lindsay CNC's in the house. How you doing, Mark? Hope Linda's doing well.
Let's see. I know you hate Greg Euler. I know you hate speeds and feeds questions, but what are your feed and speed with the CMT 1/4-inch bit and the 2.2 kilowatt spindle that you use on Pure Bond 3/4 plywood when you cut the kits?
Let's see. Hate feeds and speed, but what are your feeds and speeds with the CMT 1/4-inch bit? Okay. Right now, I don't even know exactly yet. That's running about 70 or 80 inches a minute. I think it's 70 inches a minute.
How much per pass?
0.156. Yeah, 0.156.
So, yeah.
And again, and people, always ask me that, and I think they're maybe a little surprised, like, well, you could probably run it faster than that. Well, yeah, I could.
Of course you could.
But look at what I'm doing. I'm sitting here doing a live stream while this is running. If I keep it at a conservative speed, I know everything's going to come out right. I mean, this is not the first blank I ran today by any means. And the machine just performs flawlessly. I never have to worry about it. I do keep an eye on it. And if I'm sitting in the other room where I can hear it, I will keep my ear tuned to it just because that's what I'm trained to do.
And I'd like to make a couple comments on feeds and speeds. Take it from a guy who occasionally runs stuff at full bore. It tends to be a lot worse. Sometimes, first of all, it'll wear your bit out faster if you're causing excess heat and excess pressure on it. Number one. Number two, I don't know how your hold downs are, but if I really push the board, then your hold downs will slip, and then you'll just ruin the whole piece entirely. And third, you're going to have tear out. The faster you run it, the more tear out it is. Now, I like the fact that Greg asked the question. Most I know you hate feed and speed question, but this one was specific. It was Pure Bond, 1/4-inch CMT on a Gatton with a 2.2 kilowatt spindle. The thing that I hate about feeds and speeds question are that every wood is different, every bit is different, every machine is different, and while there are differences in your machine to theirs, that's a pretty darn specific feed and speed so it's worth answering.
Yeah, Joe's got a good question here. He says, Dave, when the bit broke in the middle of the job, were you able to restart the job where it left off with a new bit? And of course, the answer is yes. Yeah. What I did was, like I said, it had already been cutting air over here and wasn't marking anything. The program was already up to the 15th part, and the bit broke on the profile of the 11th part. So what I did is I stopped the machine. And of course, since I wasn't out there when it happened, I don't know what line number it was. So I went to act like I was going to edit the program. I told it to do a find, a search to find the part number 11 profile, because I know that it had cut about, maybe the first couple of passes. And then once I found the line number for that profile, I was able to swap out the bit, re-zero the Z, and then type in that line number and hit run from here, hit cycle start, and off it went. So I didn't lose, anything other than a little bit of time that I thought it was cutting those parts, but it wasn't cutting anything. And when the bit broke off, like I said, it just broke off kind of flush at the collet, fell right in the little track of the profile that it was cutting. So it didn't mess up the part at all. It just broke off clean. So,
Troy's got a question. I don't think I understand it fully. If I wanted to have my machine totally on my table, nothing hanging over the edges, how tall should I make my machine legs?
well, Troy, let me ask you, how tall are you? What's comfortable to you? Nobody can make that decision, how tall, that dimension. That's up to you. I'm a short guy.
As am
and
I.
I like a taller bed. My machine from the actually you can't quite see it in that shot, but I was going to say my garage floor is so uneven that I have blocks up under the casters to try to get
his is really uneven. He has a Shapeoko wedged underneath one of the corners of his CNC, propping it up.
Yeah, it's my garage floor is really bad, but anyway, even on the lower side where I don't have the big block up under the caster, I think it's like 40 something inches, 40, 41, 42 inches, I think, from the floor to the top of my table.
Yeah, I did mine at 40. A lot of people do 36.
I just don't want to have to
bend down.
I don't want to have to, bend down, squat down to have to see to change the bit. I'd rather have it up where I can, where it's right up there where I can see it, especially when I raise the Z up.
Yeah, that's the thing for me is everything's just below my arm level, and the bit itself is right here. So I mean, I bring it up to the front, and I don't even have to. I'm standing up in front of the machine, and there it is.
How do you check the machine once assembled to ensure that 4 inches programmed is 4 inches cut? I've got a video.
There's a video.
I'll
look it up for you.
Yeah, thank you, Hobby. I've got a video. I think it's on the website. Let me see if I can check real quick, because I think it's on. When you click watch Gatton CNC build videos, I think it is at the bottom. Maybe, come on, hurry up and load. No, maybe it didn't. It must not be there. But anyway, I've got a YouTube video somewhere where I show how to run the test part and how to check it to see if it's running right. I mean, it's really easy to do, because just to see if you've got your steps right, or I shouldn't say right, but in the ballpark, the simple way is just to lay a ruler down and line up a number and tell it to move 4 inches. And if it, if it only moves 2, then you really got something way off. So
I just placed it in the chat, in the YouTube chat.
Okay, did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Making test cuts with my Gatton CNC. September 27th, 2016.
Dave, does the Christmas challenge have to be done? Excuse me. on a home CNC or can I use a work CNC? Well, I guess if it's okay with your boss to use that CNC, that's the first time anybody's ever asked me that. You know, the rules are just has to be done on a CNC, and you have to be able to film that. And if it's at a workplace, they may not want you filming inside there. So that's I can't really answer that. They probably wouldn't be too keen on you trying to film a YouTube video in their place of business.
Ryan's legs are 36 inches. How do you walk, Ryan? Old joke.
Greg says, what RPM? I am assuming he's talking about what RPM I'm running my spindle. Right now it's running at about 18.5. And that bit, it's got the CMT, which, by the way, as we talk about all this stuff today, if you look in the show description of this YouTube, you know, click the little show me thing, you'll see that I have Amazon affiliate links for pretty much everything I've ever used with a CNC, all kinds of stuff. And I have a whole bunch. Actually, what I did is I I went through my Amazon orders, and you know how you can click and select, you know, see how far you've ordered. Well, I went all the way through 2019, 2018, and 2017, and everything that was some kind of a CNC part or router bit or drag chain or whatever it was that I bought. I have links for that because I figured there might be some new folks watching tonight and be asking questions like, well, where do I get this? So there you go. You can look through those links and find that out.
Patrick's is in the house.
Okay. Clyde says, how tall are you? Is he talking to me or to somebody else in the chat?
Probably Ryan because his legs are 36 inches. Oh yeah, he's 6'2".
Okay.
Yeah.
How is that? It's kind of hard to explain. Like I said, if you go to that video that Javi posted, you can see how to do it.
Yeah, you basically start at one point, tell it to move X number of inches, and that'll be the other point. You put a ruler and you see how far off you are. I mean, it's well, I would say it's commonsensical, but it's not that common.
I used the steel ruler just to make sure it was accurate. I wouldn't use a wooden yardstick.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
and as Mark Lindsay said in the chat, he doesn't bother with calibration with a dial indicator. He doesn't need 5 digits to the right of a decimal accuracy for woodworking, and it's true. I mean, when your wood swells 0.05, 0.05 of an inch in any direction, good is good enough.
I wanted to highlight this comment here because Mark says, I made my stand so that the spoil board is right at 37 inches tall, just a smidge taller than kitchen countertop height. I need to be able to reach the back edge of the spoil board. And see, that kind of goes with what we were talking about the other night is when you're planning the size of your machine, you need to know whether you're going to be able to get around behind it or not. And in Mark's case, he's in a small area. So it's nice that he can reach, put it low enough so that he can reach all the way to the back. Mine, I like mine higher because I know I can walk all the way around mine.
Yeah, my suggestion would be that go to a kitchen countertop or something else, and check the height, measure the height of some different countertops, and reach over to see how far you can reach. So depending on how far you can reach, like my reach is 2'6", which is not much. I mean, that's at 38 inches. So my machine being 7x7, there's no way I can hit it in the middle ever. So if I lose a part in the middle, I got to climb on top of the machine to get it. But take all those factors into account when you build your machine. That's why mine tilts.
Edward is assembled, has the kit. How many steps per inch can the Gatton do? Well, it depends on how you have it set up with your drivers. I'm not sure I'm understanding that question. It can run at all different kinds of settings as long as you have the settings set correct to match everything, so that when you tell it to move 4 inches, it moves 4 inches.
Yeah,
Well, that's
and
all
Dave
explained in
has
that
that.
video too.
Dave
So
has that
you
in the
start out
videos.
you start out at 6400, and
Mhm.
you can use Mach 3, and if it doesn't move, it'll put 8 digits past the decimal point, but you can just use 2 or 3. It might be 6405 point something something something.
Yeah. Keith Painter says, do you recommend Loctite on bolts or use lock nuts?
Oh
I
heck
don't
yeah!
recommend Loctite, but if you do, make sure it's the blue Loctite and not the red.
Yeah, I've got a. I'll share. I ran out of nylon lock nuts for my original build, and on the Z just as I was getting to the Z box, and that thing, it moves 3 or 4 times, and those bearings already get loose. I highly recommend, just where you have all the bearings, use Nylox. I mean, use nylon lock nuts. I mean, that's one man's opinion, but it'll save you a lot of hassle. I'm not a fan of Loctite. Well, for its uses, yeah, but not for this.
All right. I'm trying to.
A lot of different ones here. And yeah, I mean, we were talking about wooden rulers. Metal also expands and contracts, but again, when we're talking not infinitesimally small, but very small amounts that are just not worth the.
Yeah, my basement's at a constant temperature. It don't swell, shrink, or
There,
nothing.
there you go.
Trying to read some of this stuff here. I had to resort to putting the specs on, but
Yeah.
it says, I mean the height of the machine legs, 1.5 by 1.5 by 2 inch blocks per the plans. Okay, I didn't realize you were talking about those because I didn't think anybody ever built it per the plans as far as those little stubby legs. Because the one I built in the build videos, it's made to just sit on a surface, a workbench or
Yes.
thing like that. So yeah, you can make them. You can make them whatever you want. You just need to figure out whether you're going to do it like a benchtop model or making it into a table or a cabinet or
Yeah.
however. You just need to figure out how tall is comfortable to you to work
Right.
on the table, because you're going to be doing that a lot. So
Right, because if you let's say make a table for it and put it on casters, and you're never going to move it, you don't need the stubby things. You just built the table right into it as the surface. In my case, I built the retractable, the vertical CNC and the horizontal CNC with the top already built into it. But it all depends on your use for it. If you see yourself moving it around quite a bit, then by all means make it a desktop model.
Well, I built my Gatton using table corners, and then I used adjustable legs in it with a double nut,
Absolutely.
so I could level out the bed.
Yep.
And it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, that's another good point. It's you want to make sure you level off the bed, because even building a torsion box, as good as you can possibly build it, if you put the bed, I'm gonna sneeze, in a different position, it's gonna slightly take it off. You're gonna have to resurface the spoil board every time. I mean, it's not gonna be off by much, but.
yeah, Becca, I guess Becca's still out there. I want to thank her. I just checked my email. I don't think she did it as a super chat, because I didn't see it pop up. But I did see a donation from Becca Miller. So thank you very much, Becca. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like I said, StreamYard has got it where you see if I can say it, super chats. But and I didn't see it. And I actually went back to check my email because I've still got orders coming in here. There's another one, and then I saw another thing that says you've got money, and I clicked on it, and it was Becca Miller. It's made a donation, so thank you so much.
Yeah, Chris, Coppendall is asking if single flute end mills are best for wood. It obviously is, as Ryan mentioned. It depends on the wood. Depends on the. I mean, I use in some cases I use compression bits. Some cases two fluted up spiral. Some down spiral. Most of the time, to tell you the truth, I like using just to keep it simple. Two flute regular 1/4-inch bit for profiles and such, because it leaves a clean cut on top, it leaves a clean cut on the bottom. I don't have to be dealing with positioning for the end mill or anything like that, as long as your bits are sharp. But again, it depends on the wood. If you've got a very, very dense wood, or if you're running it very slow, one flute is what you need.
Hey, I'll just throw this in too about feeds and speeds. If they have a GWizard calculator that's on a Black Friday, so if you really want to get into details of feeds and speeds and bits,
and in the end, you know, as I'm sure you'll all find out if you end up buying one of those calculators, it's put it back on eBay and sell it, because it'll give you an approximate thing to shoot for, and I'll tell you right now, 120 inches per minute, 80 for the feeds and speeds, and 12,000. There's your approximation. Now you don't need the program anymore, because in the end, it's all, I mean, we've said it a million times. It's all testing your machine, your piece, your project. Every project's different.
Yeah, I want to bring something up. This comment here made me think on it. He says, if you build it on a level base, it has no choice but to be level. No. Well, let me just remind folks that what's important with a CNC is that your table and your gantry are parallel.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, you can't see it in this shot, but as I mentioned, my garage floor is terribly crooked. I prop up side of it, but I don't worry about whether if I put a level on my table, I get the bubble dead level. I try to get it close, but my floor is so terrible, you know, it's hard to do with that unless I installed some kind of screws, screw jacks to do it that way. But it doesn't matter. It's still going to run fine as long as that table is parallel to the gantry.
Yep.
So,
yeah, my
you got a crooked floor or something like I do, or don't sweat it. You can.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The gantry parallel to the table, you're good.
I have 3 positions that I run my machine in: horizontal, 15 degree, and vertical. I rarely run it vertical. So most of the time it's either 2 positions, horizontal and 15 degree. Either way, they're both parallel. The gantry's parallel to the surface, so it's not a problem. The only time it becomes an issue is if your machine is so big, and this is another reason why not to build a huge machine. If your machine is so big that there'll be a slight bit of torsion on the machine, then every time you move it, you're going to have to resurface the spoil board. I mean, you'll get it nice and even, but imagine you're moving it from one place to another. Now there's a dip in the floor. Now that the table has bent ever so slightly, but it's enough to put an 1/8 inch gap on one corner of the table, and you never know how your piece is. I mean, if you want something that precise. Most people are just doing V-carve signs, and none of that matters with it. It really doesn't.
The answer is yes, and there's going to be several more after this Black Friday sale.
Yep. Yeah, I think we got all the people in Canada already.
I want to try something too. Let me see if I can
Not that many.
do a solo lathe. Now you still can't
There you
see the blocks of wood that I have propped up under the casters because of my crummy floor. I thought maybe they might show, but it doesn't get that big. Let's see what else we got here.
Yeah, Keith Painter. It's funny. He says he's been running his 1/4-inch bit at 20 inches per minute. He's asking if he's slow. A funny story. I had Drew Oxford from Ox in the Shop was doing a cornhole board. You may have seen it on his channel. It's for Georgia Bulldogs, and he asked me to give him a hand to design it for him because he was busy with work and getting stuff ready for craft shows. Hey, I'm happy to do it. So I designed it for him, and I just sent him the G code. This was on his GarageWorks, basically the same, sort of the same machine, and he ran it, and he had been used to running his machine so slowly. I'm running it at 120 inches per minute, which is still, relatively slow because I'm taking a 1/10 of an inch pass. It's not. It also depends on how much you're carving out. And he was just like, "Oh my God, my machine's about to fall apart." He's thinking to himself. He was completely shocked. He didn't even know his machine could run that fast. And I told him it wasn't fast and stuff. And ever since then, he's been running it at that speed. But it's all relative. I mean, I would don't push your machine way past its limits, but I would go to see how far you can comfortably run. Do test pieces. Because when you run past a certain speed, say past 150, or if you have a slightly dull bit, then everything's going to shred. If your bit's starting to get dull, then sometimes some people like to go faster. They'll save a little money by not having to buy a new bit earlier, and that sometimes works. There's lots of tips and tricks.
Johnny's spot on here, I think. He says, I think people get caught up on level when what they mean is square.
Yeah.
I think when people say level, they mean parallel, the gantry parallel to the spoil board. Yeah. Kevin says, what are your thoughts on 3D printed CNC routers? They're fantastic if you want a toy. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, if you're asking about the routers that are, I mean, the 3D printers that are out there, that's pretty much both our opinions. But if you're asking, can you put a print head on one of these routers? No. I would not even. There's a reason why they make those things small and
Tim says, Dave, have you cut many 3D projects with your Gatton CNC? No, I have not, because most of the time it's running just what you see it running now, which is what it's supposed to do. That's a good thing when I don't have time to run anything else. But yeah,
I've cut a lot of 3D products on my GarageWorks CNC. They come out, but the time differential between a V-carve and a 3D is about 5 or 6. Depending on the complexity, you could be hours on a 3D.
Yeah, Dave's a machinist, a designer, and a businessman. He leaves that for the rest of us mostly. He'll do his creative stuff occasionally, but
yeah, I don't get to do it often enough. But sorry for this big question, guys. You're gonna have to peek up over the top there. But Greg said, "Yeah, where's Waldo?" or what? No, what is it? Kilroy or something?
Kilroy.
Yeah.
Kilroy.
Greg says, is there a good resource for information on Mach 4 and the boards which are supported? I haven't been able to do a lot of research yet, but this is the direction I plan to start with, even though most people are still on Mach 3. I do have a basic understanding of the CNC process with a small engraver, as well as a carving experience with the cart wrong.
Yes.
As opposed to the cart right. Carve right, yeah. Worst investment ever made. Okay. I would say, Greg, if you can, just ask whatever questions you have about Mach 4 in the Facebook group. There's probably some other folks that use it. And that's where you'll get your best information, is from the other people that use it. That's one reason why I'm always a big fan of Mach 3, and I always recommend Mach 3, even though, ArtSoft no longer supports it. That was a joke anyway, because you get your support from the other folks that use it, and Mach 3 has got way more users than Mach 4. So, and it works fine for the Gatton CNC and all kinds of hobby CNC machines. So.
Funny story about that carve wrong. I had a sign shop. I've told Dave this story before. I had a sign shop a number of years back, 2006, 2007. I started it, and when it came time to get a CNC, I went to Sears and I bought one of those things, and I am so glad for Sears return policy. 3 days later, I was returning it. It was the biggest.
Yeah.
It was the biggest piece of garbage.
Greg says, additionally, has anyone hooked up a probe to create 3D models from existing items? I don't know of anybody that's done that. Maybe somebody has. I don't know.
I have I did it quite a while back, but I have a little on my CNC with Hobby on my channel. I had recommended a free program that does that will map the will do a what's the word now?
Point cloud.
Basically, there was something similar to that, but it was basically a mesh. That's it, a point mesh, and with that's all you really need, because if you put it fine enough, you can go from point to point. Just drop it right on the, and even that one even showed you how to build your own, probe. But I mean, they are so cheap on eBay. It's not worth the time and effort to build your own.
Greg that was asking about Mach 4, Leo Steger is a Mach 4 user, so you may want to try to pick his brain about some questions you might have. I didn't see people saying stuff. I don't really see a whole lot of questions, I guess. This here said, I took my fly cutting bit above the X side, moved it slowly across the back spoiler board. It took a shadow cut on the X plus, just confirmed the table was off about 1/6 of an inch. I hope you mean 1/16 of an inch and not 1/6 of an inch, because that would be a pretty good bit. I still use Mach 3. It works for me all right. If it ain't broke, then I
64th of an inch, George Puckett. He just
okay, well that's a lot better. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right, let's see. Yeah,
see if I can find that other video of mine.
All right, I don't see many questions. Wow, we've got over 100 folks watching this thing tonight. I bet you a bunch of them's are new guys.
Gee, you think?
I gotta say, for those folks that have, excuse me, have just purchased either yesterday or today on the Black Friday sale, thank you so much. I really, you never know. I've never really done a sale like this. I've always tried to just sell stuff at a reasonable price, and never really felt like I needed to do any kind of fancy sale. But then I had a few folks say, well, what are you going to do? You're going to do something for Black Friday. And then I thought, well, what the heck? I'll do something. And plus, with this new website, it's easy to set it up to do. And it has just been crazy. I had a few of the kits cut up ahead. If you follow me on Facebook, you saw that I was posting stuff about trying to run up some inventory and stuff. But all the kits that I had ran up ahead of time and in stock and in boxes ready to ship, they were, the Black Friday sale started at midnight. Those were gone by 3 or 4 a.m. So it was, and it hadn't let up much. So, but like I said, I appreciate all y'all jumping on the Gatton bandwagon here, and I'm sure you're going to be happy with your builds.
I just posted a link to my old show that had the episode of the CNC probe. Hopefully that'll guide you in some direction there.
All right, I think I see another question coming up here.
Yeah, I highly recommend Mark Lindsay's videos for you beginners who like to take it slow and take, and are very detailed. Mark is extremely detail oriented. Leave it at that. And his videos are fantastic as far as just about learning CNC soup to nuts.
Yeah. What are the offsets used for in Aspire when setting material up, if that makes sense? I want to learn why and how to use them and when. Thanks for any help. I would probably just send you over to Mark Lindsay's videos, and the offsets, it would be the same in whether you're using VCarve Pro or Aspire or whatever. I don't really use them much. If you have one thing you could use them for is if you have a laser mounted to the side of your Z box. If you know the offset, you can put that in either VCarve Pro or Aspire, whatever you're using to program your laser, and then you can set your zero with your bit, a pointy bit on your router or spindle, and it will know the offset to get to the laser beam. So that's one thing I've used it for, but I'm sure Mark's probably got a video.
Yeah, and to clarify, it's not the build video. Definitely watch Dave's videos, although other people haven't. It's for the software for learning VCarve Pro, learning Aspire. That head over to Mark's channel for that. He's quite well versed on that.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up doing some
Mark
videos
says
in
he
the
never
future.
used those offsets. I don't use any fixtures or a laser that needs them. Well, if Mark doesn't have a video, then I would also recommend Vectric. I mean,
yeah. And I've got
there's not a single feature out there in VCarve Pro or Aspire or Cut 2 or any of that stuff that Vectric hasn't done a video on.
Right.
Sometimes folks don't like to watch theirs because they're a little difficult to understand if you're not real keen on
catch the English guy.
Sometimes they have a pretty thick accent, but
I also have a few. Again, my Learn CNC with Hobby, and they're not dated because everything's all the same. I used to do a live show every once a week. I'm going to go back to doing some tutorial videos as well, but a little more step up than the basic stuff. So
now Alan says he uses offsets a lot with jigs, but Alan, are you using the offsets in the software in Aspire or VCarve Pro, or are you using the work offsets in Mach 3 I think he uses Linux. So I'm just wondering which one he uses there. Because I would think the work offsets, if you're using it for jigs laid out on a table, I would think they would be easier to use than the ones in the software. But
hey, Dave, the old Mach 3, there's really 4 good videos on using Mach 3, and they talk about offsets in that too. So you can just go onto YouTube and get the original Mach 3 YouTube videos, and they're pretty good. They're long, but they're good.
Mhm.
And then you can also read the Mach 3 documentation, which covers work offsets too.
Oh, here's a wonderful question. Glenn Helwig. Anyone have a good source for cheap bits?
Check in the show description because you don't want to get much cheaper than that.
Yeah, go to. Wait, I have a great one. Go to the woodworking show and pay $1 a piece for Vermont American.
Yeah.
That should last you about 3 inches into your plywood cut before it starts tearing everything out.
Yeah, Alan said he was talking about the work offsets in Linux. Yeah, that's what I thought. Those will work better.
Yeah.
Side are good. You know, I've said this before, but since we got probably a bunch of new folks watching, I'll say it again. Oh, my machine's almost done running.
Nice.
You know, you get what you pay for with.
Yep.
And that's really true when it comes to bits. There's a lot of good ones. I can name you about 4 brands that are pretty good. Freud is pretty good.
Yep.
Amana's pretty good.
Mana.
If you got the money. They're usually on the pricey side.
Yep.
CMT is pretty good. In fact, that's pretty much all I use for cutting these Gatton CNC kits is CMT. I've tried Whiteside, Freud, and CMT, and I found I get more mileage out of the CMT than I do.
Yeah, if you're starting out, I would highly recommend CMT. Only because you don't want to buy the cheap ones because you're just throwing your money away. However, you don't want to get the super expensive ones if you're going to be if you're not well versed in the CNC and you by accident run into screws or run into your hold downs if they're aluminum hold downs. Although those CMT bits will slice right through the aluminum, we've all experienced that one. And but I purchased about maybe 6 months into the CNC world. I purchased 2 Amana downcut spirals. I am still using those 2. That was 7 years ago. I'm still using those 2 bits. One of them is still extremely sharp. The other one, well, it's about time to have it sharpened. But there's a reason they're so pricey. They will outlast those other bits numerous times over. As long as you don't drive them into metal or drop them on the ground or anything like that. You take care of them.
I completely understand this comment. It says, Dave, that's how you know you have a reasonable price. The fact so many of us pulled the trigger on a Friday price means we thought that you were getting an unreasonable price in our favor. I don't quite.
That means you started with a reasonable price, and because of this deal being so ridiculously low in everybody's eyes, because I mean, I looked at it and I go, "Oh man, I wonder if I could use an extra Gatton."
Well, I've been telling folks that this is the cheapest they're ever going to be. So if you want one and you're on the fence, you better go now because I don't know. I think this thing is just about done. You get to see it raise up right here. Yep, there it goes. And we are done. And I'm going to real quickly excuse myself, and you'll get to see me on that camera here in just a sec.
Yeah, it's Keith. You broke 2 1/4-inch bits back to back. I use the Amana ones. I use are 1/2-inch shank, and then they curve down to a 1/4 inch, and those things are beefy. I have run them sideways into the spoil board by accident, of course, and they've just stopped the spindle dead on, and the stepper motor is going dong dong dong. I mean, it's they are some strong bits. Sorry, I'm just showing one of these comments that Mark did because I don't know why they're censoring them.
It's too bad there wasn't sound out there in the shop.
Yeah.
When I turned my machine off, I could have sworn I heard it go.
I'm pretty sure I saw that in a blurb on the camera, like the old Batman show.
Yeah, that thing, I'm gonna tell you that thing's running like a champ. So um, if anybody's got any doubts about
Rob
the
Rob Schuster says, "Who's that one for?"
I have no idea. There's still so many yet to do, but I did ship. Of course, they're probably not in the system, but when I take them to the UPS store on Saturday, of course UPS don't run on Saturday, but I go ahead and take them over there, and they'll put them in the back, and then when the truck comes Monday, they'll go right out. So I've already sent the folks the UPS tracking number and stuff like that. But if you're one of those that got the email from me today saying your kit is shipped, and you check that number and go, well, it's not in the system. That's why it won't be in the system until the driver scans it. So, but they are in effect shipped.
Jim Rockwell was saying, we were talking about Amana bits earlier. Jim Rockwell uses Amana and a milling machine and a duplicator, and then he confirms they last.
Flint Phone says, I'm a new guy
Congratulations, Flint.
and have wanted to build a Gatton for some time, but didn't have the time. I'm retired now and hope to start soon. Keep up the good work. Keith says, I pushed him over the edge. Sorry, Keith. I think you weren't the only one that jumped.
That jumped.
Well, he also, let's see, a guy in here says, Clyde Labonte says it takes the heat. I don't know. Those guys down in Texas run them all the time. So,
yeah. And I could, well, you can't really see much, but let me see if I can, if I do this zoom here. Yeah, the thing's in the way, kind of. You can't really see much, but this piece of plywood that's on the back right here, if y'all remember when I did the show and I had that piece of plywood right back here and I had the drivers and all the power supplies and all that mounted on it, that's what I'm using to run the Gatton now. So
that's your version of the Xylotech box, all mounted on plywood.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
It's but I'm very happy with it. I need to take a picture of it, although it's not, like I said, it's not real super pretty, but I've never been one to worry about pretty. I want functional. So but I have that big 5-inch AC fan screwed to that plywood and angled where it blows across all 4 of the drivers. So I've been running that thing all day, and it's not.
Fred was asking if you CNC'd that guitar behind you.
No. This one that's this. Well,
that white
can't
one
do the
there.
mouse, but yeah, that one right back there.
Yeah.
That's a Fender Squire Strat that I bought.
But he's done many more.
Yeah, I've done lots of other ones, but that's not one I've made. No. All right, we're just over an hour here. Let's see.
Oh, Keith is asking. It's an interesting question. Oh, well, you go ahead with that one. Sorry.
Go ahead. Let's find Keith's question.
I was going to say it's the last one. He said, "What camera are you using?" I need to put one in my shop. Go ahead and tell him the story of our of our latest rabbit hole.
Yeah. Let me get real quick. Let me go answer this other one.
Yeah.
Before I do that, Johnny says, not sure about Dave, but I went with the water-cooled spindle to cut down on sound. Water-cooled spindle is very quiet.
Yes.
And I always say, yes, it is, until it hits the wood, and starts cutting. They all make a noise when they hit the wood. So
if you want to reduce the noise, use 1/2-inch spindles over 1/4-inch.
But my camera is strategically placed where you cannot see my 5-gallon bucket of water back there. But you might be able to see. Let's see if I can change this. Yeah, I'll show this view here, and I'll use my little pointer here. But you can see I have nothing fancy. I've got my water lines coming down here to the spindle, and they just are, cable tied up to a little piece here. And then you can see them coming down over here on this side going into the bucket. So nothing fancy, but works well.
Yep.
Let's see if I can show. Yeah, now with this view, if you look right here, see that big old chunk of wood that's under the because right about where this leg on this side is, that's where the floor has sunk the farthest. Whoop, I moved my super duper camera set up there. But yeah, I'm all about stuff that works. I'm not about fancy, as you can tell by looking in my shop there. All right, now as far as the cameras, there's a story behind that too. I had bought probably close to a year ago, and it was just an impulse buy. I had bought a DVR. It's a security system. It's a DVR, 8-channel DVR. Then it came with 4 cameras, and it's from Harbor Freight. It's Cobra brand. And I bought it. Yeah, Hobby's showing his there. So I bought mine, and Hobby we were talking one night, and I was saying, with you being there by yourself and out in the middle of nowhere and stuff, it'd be nice if you had some cameras. So he ended up buying the exact same camera outfit that I did. But then another time we were talking, and we were looking up some, because it only comes with 4 cameras, but it will hold 8. So I bought a couple of extra cameras, and one of the reasons I bought one was so I could put it in my shop to replace my little Godzilla camera, because these are like 1080p. And I know it probably don't look that clear watching it on YouTube or Facebook, but for me sitting here, especially when I don't have it zoomed, when I have it like that, it's 1080p right there. It's just a perfectly
very, very clear and crisp images.
Good picture. And of course I have mine. I've just got it stuck on the you can see all the leaves. All the leaves are falling off the trees. One is out on my deck.
The backyard, yeah.
The other, there's my shop back there. There's my driveway. And there's my front porch, which is great for when you're getting Amazon deliveries. So, yeah. So, but I've just all day long, I've just had it kind of stuck on this one because I've been back here checking email and all that kind of stuff and doing some other work while that thing runs. And it's really nice to have a good camera like that. So
yeah, and I actually added on mine out here. I've got 4 cameras around my little container here. I've got 4 cameras, strategically placed, all wired very nicely and neatly inside. And then I just ended up buying 4 more cameras with 150 foot or whatever cables, and I built these little mounts, tripods, if you will, just made out of wood, and I'm actually using those cameras. I just set the machine to record all cameras all day long, and when I'm out there chopping wood or whatever, everything for my YouTube channel, because I've been doing a lot of homesteading here and clearing land, whenever I chop wood or do a new project, I set up 2 or 3 of them, and I plan to have a few set up in the shop when I start doing projects. It's filming all the time, and it's fantastic for YouTube videos because all I got to do is trim and cut, and copy it over from the hard drive, trim and cut, and I'm done. I don't have to worry about having a tripod, a phone or a camera set up, and the batteries going on me, having to replace batteries and having to transfer from a phone. It's made my life a whole lot more pleasant around here.
Yeah, Fred is asking where is the link for this kit. Fred, if you're watching on YouTube, so if you go below the video and you click on that show me link, that's where all the show description stuff is. And just right below where it says click here to show more below, you'll see Gatton CNC, and there's the link to the website. So it's super easy to find.
Yep.
Let's see, what else have we got? Mark says no Rocky Cam. Yeah, I had to steal the Rocky Cam to set this one up. It's actually the way this is working. I've got a really super high tech setup here. I'll show y'all and give y'all a good laugh here. But I've got over here on my printer, there you can see the laptop that I use for the Rocky Cam. There's my screen that's showing the security system. And then I've got like an empty coffee with a rubber band and a webcam.
High tech.
Pointed at the
screen.
The screen so that I could bring it in as a guest. And then that way it would help me to keep an eye on it as well as y'all can watch it run too. So
Earl, his and my setups are Harbor Freight. And they even have a sale this weekend for a couple $100 with 4 cameras. But online on Amazon, and I'm sure if Dave doesn't have the links yet, he will later. There's a brand called Zosi, Z-O-S-I, which is considerably cheaper. And I've purchased cameras from them, and they're working perfectly. I mean, they're the same. It's the same system, basically. A little bit different software, but much better deal.
Stephen, if you want to ask a question, I see you're watching on Facebook. You can ask it right there where you put comments, and they come into the StreamYard software as well as the YouTube comments. So if you want to ask it live here, just put it in the comment there, and we'll get to it here. We're about ready to sign off anyway. We've been on here about an hour and 17 minutes.
Ryan's asking if you can shut off your spindle remotely.
No, it's not out there running now. Let me show you my custom. Let's see here.
See if you can zoom
right
in
here. It doesn't show up real good because of zooming in this close. This is my custom Gatton CNC spindle remote that Mr. Hobby Unsueta made for me. It is super awesome. It's like I said, this, let me back out because you can about see it better.
And I'll be making them upon request. If you have a spindle, then I'll be happy to
yeah, it gets kind of fuzzy when I get close, but it's just a switch right here, turns it off and on. And then this is the
speed control.
The speed control. So, and you can't see it. Well, yeah, you can. If you look right, trying to get this where I can get. Come on, Dave. What are you doing here? Okay, so here's the control, and he's got it wired with Cat 5 cable. And then here's my VFD back here on the wall. You can see it flashing. So I can stand right here, turn it on, turn this, and just look over there and see exactly what setting I'm at.
And it's on with magnets, so you can actually pick it up and.
It's on with a heck of a magnet.
Yeah.
It's so strong. I have to slide it to get it come loose.
I had a couple hard drive magnets from an old hard drive that I pulled apart. I didn't realize they'd be that strong, but.
We can answer this one real quick. I know you guys have discussed this in the past, but before you sign off, air cooled or water cooled for spindle? Yes. There we go. Either one's fine.
I got to tell you, I had a little trepidation before I bought my water cooled. I was thinking, oh my God, if it bursts, it's going to burst all over the machine and ruin all the electronics. And you should never have that fear because the water flow is such low pressure and the fittings are so tight, you're not going to have an issue at all. And I'm glad I chose water cooled because, well, I don't have to worry about dust contamination or anything like that going through my tank or my spindle. And
yeah, I want to welcome Tank Commander BT. Says, hello, just bumped into this live stream, building a CNC plasma table, know nothing but learning. Welcome to the show. We do this every Saturday Um, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you're welcome anytime. Come join us.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question. Oh yeah, he was the one asking about how you ask a question. In addition to the kit, how much money can you get by with to complete the machine? Already have a DeWalt 611. It really there's a wide range because it depends on how fancy you want to go with, if you want to build a, really fancy table with cabinets and drawers below, you can put a lot of money and time into it. But I think typically we say between $1,000 and $1,500.
Yeah.
Less computer and software is pretty much a standard answer.
Yep. Yep.
The cool thing about the Gatton, if you're not aware, Stephen, though, is with the Gatton, the parts that I ship are pretty much the gantry, except I don't ship these long. I'm doing it on the wrong one where you can't see it.
Long rectangular pieces.
These long rectangular pieces are the cross members. The end user makes those, and by doing it that way, you can make them as wide or as narrow as you want.
Yeah.
So you can change the size of the machine from the plans. It's designed around using a half sheet of plywood for the table, but you can go bigger, you can go wider, and of course you can make your table deeper. That's why it's so popular. Everybody can build what fits their shop. So
yeah. Yeah. And all you have to, to put it very simply, buy the kit, then you could see the plans and see all the different parts that you have listed on it. It'll run you about $900, $1,000 at the cheapest, and including the kit. Cut a few 8 pieces, I believe, that are rectangles, and you're done. Assemble and you're done.
Matt, Awesome Wood Things Haas,
Which should I buy a Gatton?
AKA the Piano Man, says, should I buy a Gatton?
Of course not.
You've already bought one.
Go
ahead and buy another one.
Matt, you should not buy a Gatton. You should buy 5 Gattons.
All right, guys, we need to wrap this one up. Let's see. We've still got, nearly 100 folks watching this. So, driveway with workshop with Jim Bashir's in there. How you doing, Jim? Good to see you.
They're talking about antifreeze coolant in the water and stuff like that.
I like the size Smarter Mike made. Yeah, he made a pretty good size one. Let's see here. Oops, dang, I went to click on it and it jumped about 6 things. It says, hi folks, just wanted to say hello from Europe, 3:22 a.m., but I'm with you. I'm new to CNC, but love learning. I'm not owning a Gatton CNC, but do like to listen to you and Mark Lindsay. It helps a lot. Well, thank you. And come join us anytime. We're here. Of course, it's a little rough for you if it's 3:22 a.m., but we're here every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Let's see. I guess I don't see any other questions unless I missed them.
No, they're talking about they keep talking about the water-cooled spindle. What if you can run it with antifreeze in cold weather? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Windshield wiper fluid, alcohol, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. And by the way, one thing I'll mention, as I said, mine's been running all day long. And even now you could go out there and touch the spindle, and it's just, you can tell it feels warm only because it's cool out there in the garage. Yeah. But it doesn't get the least little bit hot. And then all it has is a little trickle of water. That lousy little pump they send with those things doesn't do much. But
and I've had my pump, not the pump, but I've had the flow stop on me, and because I didn't clean it out, I'm sure it's happened to a number of us. And I ran a 12-hour thing, and It was warm, but I wouldn't say warmer than 120 degrees. I mean, it was just like lukewarm to the touch. The tank. It takes a lot. I mean, it's a lot. It's enough water in that tank to dissipate quite a bit of heat.
I'm not sure I understand this question. Is this the, yeah, this is the guy that was in Europe, or the
Are you
person,
going
I should say. I don't know
another
if it was a
planet?
guy or not. It says, are you working in another plan, another plane, the XY? I'm not sure what that question is. I'll have to.
Clear that up a bit.
Patrick, real quick, says, Dave, what's the longest you have ran yours consecutively, even without changing out the board to make more kits? Well, I haven't ran my Gatton probably longer than a couple of hours, but my old metal sidewinder, you know, one of the early ones that I still have, by the way, I ran that thing like 4 or 5 hours before. And that's with a Porter cable router. So, thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I've run a 55-hour job on mine, and no problem. I mean, again, water-cooled spindle. I've never had an issue with that one. I don't know if I'd ever do something like that. I'm sure you could on a regular router, but that would take its toll.
Yeah, Ernest, if you're in, and I'm pretty sure you're in the Gatton CNC Facebook group, check with Jeremiah
Jerry Brown.
Brown, not the governor of California, but Jeremiah Brown.
Yeah, he runs
he's
a closed
done
loop with the
little radiator type thing.
radiator.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us tonight. I've got a couple of folks that I'm trying to get to come on as guests, and you know, I'm pretty flexible, so just whenever their schedule allows. It may be after the first of the year, or I might be able to get them in January. You know, December starts tomorrow, so I may be able to get them sometime in December. But at any rate, whenever they can come on, I'll have them on. And in the meantime, because especially now that we're getting a ton of new people, we'll probably keep doing these question and answer sessions, because as all these people start getting their kits and getting started doing this, they'll probably have other questions. So we may just keep doing this. So we will close this thing out. If I can hit the magic button here, let's see if I can find it. I think that's it. Okay, so you know the drill, guys. This is when we all smile and wave and say good night.
Good night.
Everybody have
Good
a
night.
good weekend.